It's our native Serviceberry, and it's one of our early bloomers here in the Flathead Valley. It's a great pollinator, draws in the early pollinators, which is wonderful. And then it gets berries later in the year, which feed the birds. So this is a great plant, and this is a great plant to have in your yard, to plant in your own gardens, because it has so many what they call ecosystem services that it supplies to our landscapes. So the Native Americans used it. They ate the berries. The berries on the Serviceberry are edible, but some of our native berries are not. So you have to make sure that you know the plants or the berries that you're picking. So be very careful with that.
How would the Native Americans have used the berries?
They actually dried the berries and used it in their pemmican, so that they sustained that with other ingredients with meat. They used the fat, and this is some of the fruit that they add to it. Lots of different things in there. So it's a wonderful, wonderful plant in all respects, because it's not only is it beautiful, but it adds so much to the landscape. This is our wild hyacinth with a little fly or bee, I can't tell which it is. Pollinator though, probably. Flies are also pollinators along with bees. Not as good a pollinator, but this is our wild hyacinth, and as you notice, it looks like the hyacinth you find. The flower looks very similar to the hyacinth that you have in your own gardens, and it was probably called that, given that common name, because it does remind you of what you grow right at home. But this is our native wild hyacinth, and it's a beautiful little flower, very similar to the color of lupin. And isn't it interesting that the blues are starting to bloom now? We saw a lot of yellows, and we have a lot of yellows in our early garden, in our natives, our native plants in the springtime. Sunshine, that capture the sunshine, which we always need. But this time of year we have the blues starting to come out with the yellows, and so that's the blue hyacinth, the wild hyacinth. Here we have another one of our wonderful understory plants. This is our native chokecherry, and you can see it here with the 9-bark down below, so you can tell the difference. We have the two beautiful shrubs in bloom at the same time. The chokecherry has a fabulous fragrance though, and as you walk through this landscape, you're not going to miss it at all. It is so delightful. The other thing about chokecherry is the value to our pollinators. There are many plants, our native plants, many of our pollinators depend on our native plants for reproduction. And this chokecherry is one of the major plants for pollinators to reproduce on. So this is a really important plant in this landscape, in all of our landscapes.